What's up, friends? As we enter a new year, we expect the giants of the smartphone industry to release their newest flagship devices, packing the latest Snapdragon processors and all the new AI sweet treats that they'll have to offer. But what if I told you there is a phone that's already out that has the new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor, has all that you can ask for in AI suite, and has a 165 hertz screen for gaming at a portion of the price? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the OnePlus 15. Right off the bat, you can see they entered a new facelift. Away from the generic giant circle that was favored across all of the Chinese phones, and now to a more squared module on the top left corner. From what I've seen, the feelings have been mixed. Some people do prefer the old traditional design, while a lot of people are open to the new design language. I prefer it because I believe it does give them a design language. You know, all of the Chinese OEMs typically all had this Huawei aesthetic where it's just the giant circle in the middle. And whilst it does look good, I think at the end of the day, you do have to differentiate yourself as a brand in some way, shape, or form. So I do prefer the new design. I think it's just enough to keep away from the Apple clone and the Samsung clones, while also kind of carving their way into a different design away from Huawei, Xiaomi, etc. Now, underneath that chassis is the latest and greatest Snapdragon processor, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which packs a generous boost, clocking in at 4.6 gigahertz. The CPU improves performance by 20%, and the CPU power efficiency by 35%, while the Adreno GPU enhances the graphics performance by 23% and the GPU power efficiency by 20%. There has been some reports of overheating, yet on my experience, I've yet to come across that. I don't play the most dramatic amount of games for the longest period of time, but I wouldn't doubt it if you're running 165 hertz with the settings all the way maxed. The phone's gonna get hot. I mean, you're rocking a lot of power in the size of your pocket. I don't think it's gonna be cool. So just bear in mind, if you are planning to game, thermals might be an issue over a long course of time. But like I said, in my experience, I've not really had much problems, yet alone having any throttling problems. That being said, with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor, paired with the 165 hertz, I'm already seeing this as contender of gaming phone of the year. Now, as for cameras, this is where things get a little interesting, to say the least. OnePlus did departure from the Hasselblad, which honestly, if you asked me, I can't honestly tell you a huge difference besides the filters have changed slightly, but the filters are still there. But the huge elephant in the room is that OnePlus did downgrade the camera sensors in terms of size. Ultimately, what that means for you is if you are planning to get some good shots, daylight is going to be your best friend. The camera typically just has a harder time grabbing light just because of the smaller sensor, and that ultimately creates a lot of overexposing from what I've seen. I compared it with my OnePlus 13, and the OnePlus 15 at the current time of this recording typically overexposes quite a bit, regardless if it's daytime, regardless if it's nighttime, especially in the nighttime. But ultimately with the overexposure, it typically washes the colors. Now, if you're just a normal guy who's like me and you're just gonna pull it out once in a blue moon or once a week or twice a week to take a photo of whatever you're looking at, you have nothing to worry about. But if you are a photo enthusiast and you do want the best camera on your phone as a grab and go solution, definitely take this with a grain of salt and look into some reviews. I do prefer last year's model, like the OnePlus 13 camera, just because with the sensor being bigger, it doesn't have to work as hard to grab light and therefore not wash out the colors. Here's a great example that I have right here of a leaf that I took, and you can see how much more color is washed out in just this leaf. Ultimately, this is one area that OnePlus needs to focus on, especially moving forward, but being considerable and realistic, this phone is still going to be $400 cheaper than what an S25 Ultra is going to be, and or later down the road an S26 Ultra, and or, you know, $300 cheaper than an iPhone, you know, Pro Max model. Not too much, it was about $300 cheaper than a Pixel 10 Pro XL model as well. So when you kind of factor in the value for what you're losing, I don't really consider it a huge deal, just because you're still saving quite a bit. So value wise, I think the OnePlus still has a lot on its plate to speak for in terms of what you do get. But that being said, it is an area of improvement that they're going to need to work on going forward. Now, lastly, let's get into the insane amount of AI features that OnePlus does have. So, just like Samsung, OnePlus does have its own AI suite that is layered on top of Gemini as well. In Gallery, you do have AI Eraser, Recompose, Portrait Glow, Perfect Shot, Detailed Boost, Unblur, and lastly, Reflection Eraser. Then you do have your standalone features like AI Search, which is integrated into the phone, AI Writer for more expressive or formal messages, AI Translate, which is in my use in Spanish has worked quite well, and the big one that OnePlus is really pushing is Mind Space. They have even turned the beloved volume toggle button into its own dedicated AI button just to push Mind Space as well. To give you an understanding on everything that Mind Space is, let's go ahead and talk about the actions that you can do with it. A single press of the side key button will take a screenshot for you and categorize it based off of what it is, as well as give you an AI summary of what it is as well. Pretty much a direct, you know, not copy, but a direct feature, just like the Pixel screenshots. Secondly, if you press and hold, you do have a AI recording that you, as long as you're holding, you can speak into it and it will save the recording for you in the Mindspace folder and kind of give you a summary as well. That one I see as a nod to the Essential Space from Nothing. It's pretty similar. It's pretty much, you know, eye for eye. And then lastly, you do have Double Tap, which will open up the entire Mindspace folder, and it has pretty much everything that you've been doing, right? Whether it's, you know, your screenshots or your voice recordings, it has all of the summaries of that. If there was any important information in the Mindspace screenshot, etc., it is saved to your calendar, and it is something that you can go back into to view as well. My final verdict with all of that is great, super fantastic. Just like how Samsung does their Galaxy AI, you have OnePlus AI. OnePlus AI and I think it's fantastic because it's just an extra layer of tools at your disposal that is already on top of the Gemini suite that is already super fantastic. Now, we've said a lot of positive things about the OnePlus 15, and we've said a couple negative things that OnePlus needs to focus on. Now, I'm going to give a very personal opinion regarding the software that OnePlus is doing. Now, obviously, Oppo has kind of taken away features from Oxygen OS and have made it more similar to Color OS. It does still say Oxygen OS on the software, but every single year we kind of go further to Color OS, and I think this is one of the biggest steps that we've done in quite a while. And the one thing that I am not a fan of as an Android enthusiast is the shameless ripoffs of iOS. It's a weird position. I don't know why Oppo decides to do this or other brands decide to do this as well. There are some features and some pages on the OnePlus 15 that are side by side identical to what Apple has on iOS. Like I said, I don't know if this is to help iOS users move over more easily, or if this is to cater to Android enthusiasts who want an iPhone. Either way you look at it, neither one of them is beneficial. Because if people are coming from iOS, it's because they want to try something new. And if someone is, you know, using an Android and they want an iPhone, you're going to lose that customer down the road no matter what you do. And at the end of the day, for me, it just feels weird, right? Ultimately, this just doesn't scream confidence. Yes, the animations are smooth and arguably the best on Android, but I just can't get behind having an iOS clone in my pocket. It makes me not want to show my phone off when people ask me, because I know I will receive it's a ripoff or it's a fake iPhone comments. I can appreciate like the app organization, but if we're going to copy it, I believe we should copy it and put our own flair to it. Similar with how Nothing does it. You know, they did the app drawer just like how iOS did it, but they put their own flair to it. They made their own icons and made it look somewhat different. If we're going to copy features, put your own implementation on it. That makes it OnePlus, that makes it Samsung, that makes it Nothing. Do those things, the extra step, the extra mile. I'm not saying when a good idea comes around to not implement it. I'm saying let's have our own design language. That's my only gripe with this phone, truly. You know, just looking 100% like iOS. As someone who lives in the States and already gets bashed for having an Android phone, I don't want to be the guy with an Android phone that looks like an iPhone. It's just gonna get me double bashed, you know what I mean? But that's just a personal thing on my end. Let me know what you guys think. I ultimately think this phone is great for the price, and I think people should definitely keep their eye on it. And if the price is still a little too steep, once a promotion comes on, this is going to be the cherry on the cake. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know what I can do to help improve these videos for you. If you did find the video helpful and or entertaining, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. But until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.